بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Perspectives. We are switching to English as we had talked about the other day, but there's been enough demand for us to go to switch away from Urdu. So in all probability, all generic or international interest topics would be done in English and Perspectives from hereafter. Of course, anything which is domestic or concerns Pakistan only, we may continue to do it in Urdu. There were interesting news items which has prompted us to do this show. Ayesha, would you like to do the honor on this one? Actually, no. This is your favorite, right?
No, you do this. Actually, you do both of them.
Okay, now, on a serious note, the question that has come into our minds is that is Islamic Sharia and its laws, are they being used incorrectly for personal advantage? Now, one of the news items which appeared in Mail Online was a pharmacist who asked colleague what her favorite sex position is let off at tribunal because he had a restrictive Muslim background. So, you know, this gentleman, Mr. Khalil Jamil, which you can see on your screen, asked crude remarks, made crude remarks to three of his female colleagues, and has been let go. And he asked questions like, "What's your favorite sex position?" And he grabbed her hand and made her feel his boxing stomach, and all of that. But the plea he's taken is that he has a repressive Islamic background, conservative, and he doesn't know about general workplace.
And he has not been
etiquette.
exposed.
He's not been exposed. Now, this is where I do not agree at all, because being Islamic does not mean we are repressive, or being Islamic does not mean that we do not know the world's ways.
Or that we're being brought up in such a conservative environment.
Or in such a crass way.
Yeah,
we do not have crass upbringing. And in particular, Islam, in fact, teaches conduct, social conduct quite clearly. And Islam also makes it very clear on how a man should talk to a woman or vice versa. There is no ambiguity. There is no confusion. So this gentleman has taken a plea, but what I'm shocked is that the jury assumed that was all right because he's Islamic and he's repressive and he has a. They haven't used the word, but I'm going to use that word. They think that, Islam is a primitive religion which has a primitive understanding, and thus this gentleman should be let off. I'm glad he's been let off with a warning. I have nothing against that.
It says he was unable to distinguish between friendliness and over-familiarity.
Yeah, that's absolute hogwash. Because in Islamic cultures, we have social etiquettes. We completely understand how to interact with the opposite sex or the same sex. We are taught about workplace ethics, much more than probably the rest of the world. If we do not, or people don't practice it, that's a personal problem. But Islam has nothing to do with it, and I think I personally take offense on this news item and the way this has been treated.
Yep.
If the gentleman said personally he had no idea because he doesn't have proper education, but if he's he's a pharmacist.
Yep.
If he's a pharmacist, regardless of where he's gone to school, it doesn't say what's his country of origin. It doesn't say that, right?
No, it doesn't.
He looks Indian or Pakistani. No, we know exactly how to talk to women, and no. If he's a pharmacist, he has enough education to understand how to do that, and I can assure you that is true, because if somebody was to take his sister's hand and put it on his stomach and show her his boxing belly, he would have known exactly how to behave. And if somebody went to his mom and asked what's her favorite sexual position, or discussed horse reproduction, he would take great offense. So this is absolute hogwash. It has nothing to do with Islam. If it's his personal problem, I'm happy with it. That's his personal problem. I have nothing to say.
But do not associate it with religion.
Do not associate Islam with it. Islam is not a primitive religion. It is a religion which works for all times. BBC News has the Middle East section has exactly. This came on 3rd September, which says Egypt's sexual harassment of women epidemic. It talks about how women in Cairo and other Egyptian cities are having serious sexual harassment problems, and one particular case is discussed here where a mob picks up a woman. And did you manage to mark it here somewhere? We've been slightly careless. Looks like we're not well prepared. Yeah, last winter an Egyptian woman was assaulted by a crowd of men in the city of Alexandria. In video footage of the incident posted on the internet, she's hauled over men's shoulders and dragged along the ground, her screams barely audible over the shouts of the mob. It is hard to tell who is attacking her and who is trying to help. The case was one of the most extreme, but surveys say many Egyptian women face some form of sexual harassment every day.
Right.
Now that's complete crap.
Somewhere they also say it is not based on the way they're dressed up.
Yeah,
It's not that the females are not provocative.
what's upset me is
provocative dress.
yeah, and the harassers are getting younger and younger. On the Qasr al-Nil bridge in central Cairo, a hotspot for harassment, I met a group of teenage boys hanging out near street stalls blaring loud music. When I asked them about a recent case of mass harassment in which women at a park were groped by a gang of boys, that's my phone ringing, my apology, by a gang of
Boys.
when I asked them about a recent case of mass harassment in which the women at a park were groped by a gang of boys, they told me the girls brought it on themselves. It's a typical
I
statement.
think that is a very convenient statement being made by
even
the
used in
segment.
India,
in all
Pakistan,
countries.
pretty
in
much.
all countries.
And now, mind you, I'm going to go on further. If the girls were dressed respectably, no one would touch them, one of them said. It's the way girls dress that makes guys come on to them. The girls came wanting it, even women in niqab, which is the veil.
Right.
One of his friends told me the boys were not to blame, and there was a difference between women who wore loose niqabs
or tight
and the
ones.
tight
Yeah,
niqab.
I mean, they're wearing
Now,
niqab.
what upset me here again is this has been linked to Islam. This whole article builds that in Islam.
And if I may mention,
yeah,
have you
please.
observed this? This article, the previous one, came out on the 31st of August 2012.
And this is 3rd
3
September.
days later, another article, which was again Islam and Sharia and sexual harassment, was brought in on BBC's website.
Now, said Sadiq, a sociologist from the American University in Cairo, says that the problem is deeply rooted in Egyptian society, a mixture of what he calls increasing Islamic conservatism on the rise since the late 1960s and old patriarchal attitudes. Now, Islamic conservatism, what the hell does that mean? Islam is not a conservative religion. Islam is very progressive. Islam is very modern, and Islam does not preach or teach people, men, to harass them. Going forward, it says, religious fundamentalism arose and they began to target women. They want women to go back to the home and not work.
Could you please read the
Absolute hogwash. Religious fundamentalism arose, choice of words. Religious fundamentalism arose and they began to target women. Religious fundamentalism has nothing to do with women being harassed. It goes on to say, male patriarchal culture does not accept that women are higher than men because some women had education and got to work and some men lagged behind, and so one way to equalize status is to shock women and force a sexual situation to them anywhere. Now, mind you, this is valid for the whole world. It has nothing to do with Islam, extremism, fundamentalism, conservatism, whatever words they've used.
You see, Faisal, anything of similar sort that happens in an Islamic state,
Yeah.
it goes as an attack to Islam as a religion.
Exactly.
If this had happened in States or UK or Australia for that reason, then it would just be a street crime or sexual harassment, which would not be targeted or dealt with the way it is being done because it's an Islamic state.
Absolutely.
So if someone who gets shot on our street suddenly becomes terrorism,
Yeah.
but if a similar firing incident happens in either of the institutes or let's say churches or schools or cinemas or malls in states, that is just called because that guy is was a psycho.
Yeah.
And he was
Can I borrow your
mentally
laptop?
not fit. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I'm doing that is I'm looking for a song actually. And when you use words like Islamic conservatism, when you use words like Islamic repression, repressive society, Islamic fundamentalism, that's when I actually take offense. And those of you who haven't heard it, it's a Tori Amos song, "Me and a Gun." And I've repeatedly talked about the song, and sorry we weren't really well prepared for this. It just came to my mind. Yeah, and the particular line which I want to quote here.
Friday morning, Thursday night, far from
Yes, I wore a slinky red thing. Does that mean I should spread for you, your friends, your father, Mr. Ed? So even she's talking about just because she wore a slinky red thing does not mean she should spread. Does not mean she's okay for rape or abuse. So it's not an Islamic thing. I take offense to these articles which make it sound like Islam is a repressive religion, or Islamic countries have a repressive or an inhibitive culture, or we are
And you can already see it. If you travel abroad, if you go to US, you will be treated in a completely different manner because you come from Pakistan, and you're a Muslim.
Yeah, and they think we are primitive or something.
Yeah.
And if
they see you dressed up this way, they will question you. You don't belong to Islam because you're so modern. You can speak in English. You have modern or progressive thoughts. Islam does not restrict our thoughts in any manner.
My exposure to the southern US in 1980s was when I was asked, "Do you have cars in Pakistan?"
That's way back.
80s.
I will talk about 2001. I went to Singapore. A, they were shocked to see that we could speak in English. B, we were females, and how could we travel alone all the way to Singapore?
Singaporeans or Americans?
Singapore. And then the question is, do you have roads? Do you guys have schools? Do you have tall buildings? And we said, yes, we have much of a luxurious life as you guys enjoy. Okay, not in a better state, but yes, we have
Sure, we have
everything.
issues.
Yeah.
But that's Pakistan only. Generally, I think I take offense to the way Islam is being posed by the international
And
press.
this is a trend. I don't know if you felt it, but these two articles
There is a
being
pattern.
brought.
It's a timeline.
And by the way, both these articles were shared on Twitter.
Yeah.
This Egypt one I saw was being shared on Facebook today.
Yeah.
So.
And they're both British, right?
Yeah. Yep. So yeah.
The Daily Mail and the BBC News.
BBC News.
So, request to international press, media, do not confuse Islam with certain countries. If a country has a repressive society, if a country has gender confusion, it's not Islamic. One.
And
secondly,
if the females wear hijab, or they cover themselves, or they don't wear provocative clothes, it does not make
us
me
primitive.
Yeah. Does not make me conservative in any sense.
that's just our way.
Yeah.
It
You
doesn't
have
have
your
to.
culture, we have our culture, and we'll follow it.
We don't have to agree with it.
Yeah.
So these words we take offense to, and we just want to register that, and would like the world to know that we are very Islamic, we're very Muslim, we are from Pakistan, and
we're as modern and as progressive as you are.
But modern does not mean we're going to strip and dance naked on the table.
That's your definition of being modern. We have our different.
We have a modern thinking. You may have a modern level of nudity.
And I guess all those Muslims, be it from Pakistan, India, Saudi, wherever, I think let's start and talk about this online. Let's show them that Islam is not conservative.
And don't let them get away with this.
Yeah.
They need to hear from us.
This is not just an article
It's
that you
a
would
movement.
just read and
It's a movement.
Yep.
They need to hear from us. Don't be silent. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Till next time.